woke up one morning in the couch in my living room. Right next to me was a half a bottle of tequila empty. My 8-year-old son was looking down on me, asking one question. What's wrong with daddy? What he didn't know is that the past 6 months, I was drinking every single night a half a bottle of tequila. I was trying to sedate the pain, numb the pain that I was feeling inside of stress, of anxiety, of fear, of being an entrepreneur. The 3 years before that, I went through a financial crisis. 2008 made me lose millions of dollars because I was over-leveraged in real estate. It got to the point that I had to have the hard conversation with my wife about either paying the mortgage or paying for the office. I already made a story in my mind that she was going to leave me, take the kids, and just tell me that my mother was right about you. So when I went to tell her this, she said the words that would change everything. Raul, I will live under a bridge if I have to, but I know it's not going to be forever. Go out there and fix it. See, man, we don't need to hear that sometimes. We need to hear that it's okay, you're the only one who's done this. It's okay. I didn't want somebody to feel sorry for me. I wanted somebody to challenge me. And she challenged me. So the next 6 months, I figured things out. I knew that in every single time of chaos, there's always opportunities. So I was able to find a niche in the market in real estate. I made millions of dollars. So now fast forward 3 years later, why is it that I'm going through this crisis? I have money in the bank, have a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, but I never stopped operating from a place of fear and scarcity. I wasn't going through a financial crisis at that moment. I was going through a purpose crisis. A loss of identity. I had success, but I wasn't happy. I had success, I felt empty. I see my son looking down on me. Made me realize that I had to figure things out. So I went into a journey of personal development. I spent $500,000 trying to fix myself, trying to find out what's wrong with me. Why is it that I have this stress pain, that I thought I had cancer, I thought I was sick, but every single doctor said it was all in my head. It was all stress. It was all fear. So I signed up for every single seminar that I could find, every mastermind that I could find. I got me to a place to have dinner with the founder of Tequila Patron, John Paul DeJoria. I said, great, there's a great conversation. We met at his house, and I said, listen, I'm your biggest consumer. I drink your product every single night. I said, but the problem is that I have this physical pain of stress, and you're a billionaire. How did you manage this stress? He said, Raul, have you ever tried meditation? I said, no, my mind is too busy. I can't quiet my mind. I have to keep busy. He said, you should try it. And if a billionaire tells you to try something, you listen. So we hugged it out. He told me to try meditation. And like at every single high achiever, I signed up for a meditation retreat in India. Because I don't do anything half-ass. I want to learn from the best. I want to learn from the source. So my wife and I went to India. We checked into a hotel in New Delhi. They checked the car they checked for bombs under the car because it was high security. We checked into the hotel. There were armed guards in the elevator. By the time we got to our room, there were armed guards in front of our rooms. And my wife looked at me and said, Raul, we're not staying in this hotel. There's something going on here. There's a terrorist. There's something going on. Like, I'm not going to stay here. So being the man that I am, if my wife is not happy, I'm not happy. I go down and try to see if we could switch rooms to maybe a suite or something in a different floor. And the lady looks at me and says, Raul, Mr. Velasquez, it's not a terrorist. It's not a prisoner. It's the Dalai Lama. So you're going to be really safe. Don't worry. I said, well, now this is a great opportunity for me because now this is the time for me to have a conversation with the man himself. Because he may have the solution to what I'm going through. So I did what every New Yorker or East Coast guy will do, try to bribe ourselves into a meeting. So I go to the guard and said, listen, how much for a 10, 15-minute meeting with the man? All right, I have some money, I could pay you. And he said, sorry, sir. Dalai Lama is going through a transition. We're going to be leaving sometime soon, but it can't be possible. I said, I can't take no for an answer. I got to figure things out. So the next thing I did, I sent my wife to flirt with the guy and said, hey, maybe you can convince him. I don't want to be drinking tequila every single night. So she came back, she goes, no. He wanted something else. I know, no, we can't go that far. So I made a plan. I waited until the next guard came and they shift the guards. So I walked up to him and I said, listen, statistics show that most guards have accidents when innocent bystanders are standing by and you drop the gun and people get shot. So I want to be out of your way when he comes out, so just tell me the schedule and I'll make sure I'm in my room safely. It was a great idea, sir. We're going to be leaving at midnight, so you should be safe. I said, thank you for that information. Because 11:59, I was peeking through the little hole in my room, waiting for him to come out, and I see the little monks coming out, one after another, and then the Dalai Lama is coming out. Now it's my chance. I open up the door, and I'm looking at him. I said, Mr. Dalai Lama, can I have 5 minutes with you? I just have one question. Immediately, the guards grabbed me. They searched me to make sure I'm not a maniac, and they thought I was probably somebody who wanted to harm him. And he looked at me and he said, I'll give you the 5 minutes. He came into my room, and we spent 15 minutes in conversation. 15 minutes with the Dalai Lama, and I asked him one question. How do I heal my pain? How do I heal what I'm going through? And he said, the reason that you have pain is because you're refusing to find the gift in the pain. Pain is necessary for growth. Suffering is a choice. The reason that you're suffering is because you can't find the gift. Something is blocking you from finding the gift in this pain. So I took that advice and I went to a meditation retreat to find out what is the pain that I'm dealing with. What's the emotional pain that I'm carrying? So I went to the monk that ran the meditation retreat, and I gave him this information for the Dalai Lama. I said, here's what the Dalai Lama told me. Make this work, okay? Download something in my brain. He said, well, the first thing that we could do is start with meditating in your relationship with your parents. So, well, that's when you're wrong, because I have nothing but great memories of my parents. I love my dad. I love my mother. There's nothing there. So, well, let's begin with that. So I went in to meditate, and I'm staring at the water, and I'm meditating on my relationship with my parents. 1 hour later, I just fell asleep. Nothing happened. So I came out and said, listen, man, give me another instruction because this is not working. He says, just go back there again. Just try to meditate. So another hour went by and nothing. Third time I said, listen, maybe I'm broken. Maybe I'm not the guy. So I'm just going to have another flight, just go back home because it's not working for me. He said, this time, go back the third time and set the intention and ask your mind to show you what you're not willing to see. So this time, I closed my eyes and I said a prayer. I said, God, show me what my mind is blocking me to see. When I closed my eyes, I remember a memory when I was 5 years old. I mean, telling my mom, I'm scared that this is all a dream. I feel like I'm going to wake up one day, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to be with no family, and I'm going to be alone, and I feel like I'm afraid of being abandoned. She hugged me and says, don't worry, it's all a dream. You have a big imagination. We love you. You're safe here. And nothing is going to happen to you. I'm never going to leave you. Then I come to another memory when I was 8 years old. And I woke up and I saw my parents packing their bags to come to the United States. And then I asked my mother, where are you going? And she says, well, we're going to come back. We're just going to go to New York and we're going to come back and get you. My biggest fear was being abandoned. My biggest fear was my mother or my father leaving me. And now this biggest fear is happening. I dropped them off in the airport. I came back and I went to my mother's room and I held her pillow because I wanted to smell her perfume, and I began to cry. Then my 5-year-old brother came inside, and I didn't want him to see me cry, so I bottled all that energy and I put it deep inside. And that was the exact place where I had that pain in my body that the 40-year-old Raul wasn't able to heal. See, the 40-year-old Raul understood that my mother and my parents paid the price for us to be here, and I was grateful. But the 8-year-old Raul never healed. Never healed the trauma of being abandoned. Never healed the trauma of being left alone. He couldn't understand why this was happening to him. So when I came back from India after processing this, the first people I saw was my parents. And I sat down in the living room and I began to tell them what I experienced in this meditation. My father broke down crying as if it happened yesterday. My mother was sobbing because she's been carrying this guilt and shame for decades. Because we never talked about this. We just pushed this down. And as men, that's what we do. We push this down deep so we don't feel. So now I came back and I'm trying to teach this to every single one of my employees, every single one of my of the people that I know. And then all of a sudden I started to see the pattern. Successful men never heal from trauma. That's why they're trying to chase success, thinking that that's going to make them happy. And then I met entrepreneurs that had millions of dollars in the bank account, but they fell empty because they never knew how to fulfill their purpose. We chase success, but nobody teaches us how to pursue purpose. So that moment, I made it my purpose to help men find their light in their darkness. I began to have workshops in my house teaching men how to deal with what I call emotional fitness. Understanding that every single trauma that we have, it is the gift and the curse. The gift because we will achieve more than the average man because we have this fire inside of us that allows us to go deeper. But the curse is that we will never be satisfied. We will never have fulfillment unless we heal that version of us that makes us a driver. I was able to coach and train thousands of men through what I call the tunnel. The tunnel is when a man loses himself. The tunnel is when a man goes to depression. The National Institute of Mental Health says that 77% of entrepreneurs have mental health issues. They're more likely to have suicidal thoughts, have depression, have anxiety. But we don't talk about this because we're overachievers. So we just push through it. We hide this trauma deep inside. So for the past decade, I've been helping men find what I call the edge. So they could sharpen their edge, could become better fathers, better leaders, better men. When I was going through a financial crisis, my wife spoke to me and gave me the fire that I needed to fix it. When I was going through a purpose crisis, looking at my son down on me, seeing the worry, the fear, the anxiety, gave me the permission to go there and fix myself. But it was my daughter who helped me see who I could become. Because when I couldn't see myself in the mirror, because I was so ashamed of myself, I would look at her and I would ask her, "What do you see?" And she would put her hands in my cheeks. And she would say, "I see Daddy. I see strength. I see love." She reminded me of who I could become. She woke up the man that I knew I had to be for my family and for the people around me. If you're listening to this TEDx talk, if you're a man, just know you're not alone. You're not broken. All you have to do is figure out what is the trauma that you're hiding and sedating. If you're a woman, remind your man that he's got this. that he's not alone, remind him of who he could become. Because that's an idea worth spreading. Thank you.